If you've ever fancied making hot cross buns but can't be bothered with a faff of rolling it all into balls, then this recipe is for you. Because today we're going to make cranberry hot cross loaf. I always find it easier for bakes like this to get all your ingredients out on the table first. That way you can just chuck it all in the bowl and you're away. First thing you need is 500 grams of strong white bread flour. Pop that in the bowl. On one side, put 10 grams of instant yeast. And on the other side, 60 grams of caster sugar and 7 grams of salt. You want to keep the salt away from the yeast. It's important because sometimes it stops the yeast from working properly if they mix together. In this bowl, I've got a variety of spices. I have 1 teaspoon of mixed spice, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, there's a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger in there, and a little tiny pinch of nutmeg. We're going to pop that in the bowl now. Followed by the zest of 1 juicy orange. This gives it a beautiful smell and flavour. On top of that, you need 1 large egg and an egg yolk, and 50 grams of very soft butter. And lastly, we're going to add our liquids in. There's 200 ml of warm full fat milk, pour that in, and around 30 millilitres of water. Wow, that's all the ingredients in. Get yourself a spatula, and we're going to start incorporating it with a spatula, and then we're going to finish it off by hand. Because the butter's lovely and soft, it's very easy to mix it in, so make sure your butter is soft. Now my favourite bit, we're going to get our hand in and finish it off by hand. Turn your ball of dough round to take up all the flour from the sides of the bowl. It's a nice soft dough, this. Lovely. All my flour has been taken up from the side of the bowl, and the ball looks like this. Pop it back in your bowl, put it on the stand mixer with a dough hook. And now we're going to knead this with a dough hook for around 4 to 5 minutes until the ball is nice and smooth. If you don't have a stand mixer with a dough hook, don't worry, you can do this bit by hand, but obviously it is much easier with one of these. Lovely. So the dough now looks like this. This is nice. Then bring it out, pop it on the table. Okay, spray a bowl with some oil. This will just stop it sticking, or make it into a little bit more of a smooth ball. Pop it in there. Now we're going to cover it with either a shower cap or some cling film and leave it to rise in a warm kitchen for 1 hour. Our hour is up and this has proved beautifully. Wow. Now it's time to incorporate your dried fruit. I've got cranberries here, but feel free to swap it out for raisins. I'm going to punch the dough down a bit, just to get rid of the air. And now we're going to poke the fruit in. This is a little trick I learned from Paul Hollywood. When he does his fruited bakes, he prods the fruit in first in the bowl, and this way they do get distributed much, much better. So he prods them in, prod it in, prod it, turn it. Rather than kind of like putting the whole lot in, it does distribute it. He is right. There's 150 here. You don't need to use all of them if you don't want to, if you feel you've got enough. I'm also going to put a little bit of mixed peel in, just a little bit to give it a bit of colour. There's 25 grams here of mixed peel. Prod that in. Now it's time to turn it out and knead it on your tabletop. Just knead until you think all the fruit has been nicely incorporated in. A couple of minutes is fine. And you'll pick up some cranberries, you'll drop some cranberries out and you'll pick them up while you're kneading. It smells so good. It actually reminds me, when I was doing the bake-off, I had to make 12 identical tea cakes, okay? And I did so much practice. And this smell reminds me of those days, because I did so many practices. My whole kitchen was smelling of mixed spice and oranges. Oh well, it takes me back, it's good. I'm getting there now. Nothing's coming out anymore. Right, once you're happy that you've incorporated all your cranberries and mixed peel nicely, just put a bit more oil in your bowl, pop it back in. Now it's time for the second proof. 1 hour at room temperature with a little hat on or cling film. Our dough has now had the second proof and it's looking very lovely. I'm going to turn it out onto the worktop. I'm going to cut it in half because we're making 2 loaves. Don't need to be exactly even, it's fine. Now, let's punch out the air. I'm going to make 2 different loaves for you, and you can choose which one you fancy doing. The first one, I'm just going to put straight into the pan, spray it first. We're going to shape it. I'm going to pop it straight into the pan and push it down through the edges. And that one's done, so we're going to cover it up, either with a shower hat or some cling film. And the second one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to roll each one into a sausage shape, about the size of the pan. And now I'm just going to do a little swizzle. Take one over and take it over again. Take it over and take it over. And basically twist it like so. Now this one's going to go inside the pan. We'll spray it first, of course. We'll pop that one in. Push it down. What this does is add just a little bit of design interest to your loaf. Use your shower hat or a bit of cling film over the top. And now we're going to leave these 2 to prove for 1 final hour before we bake. And in the meantime, we're going to make the nice paste to decorate our loaves with. In order to make your flour paste, which will make the traditional markings on your hot cross loaf, we're going to pour a little bit of flour into a bowl. I don't know, maybe 50 grams or so. And then just pour a little bit of water, enough to make a thick paste that you'll be able to squeeze out of a piping bag. So I reckon about 45 ml of water to about 50 grams of flour. Once you've made a paste, we pop it into a piping bag and we wait until our loaves are finished proving to use it. You want the kind of thickness of wallpaper paste. That's done now. Now we're going to spoon it into our icing bag. That's ready to use as soon as our bread is finished proving. Our loaves have finished their final prove. It's time to have a look at them. There's the one with a twist. And that's the plain one without a twist. Grab your bag, which has got the flour paste in it. Just cut the end off. Now it's time to mark your loaves in any way you want. This one, I'm going to do lines across the seams. Now I'm going to put these in the oven at 200 degrees fan, which is 220 conventional heat, for 15 to 20 minutes. At 15 minutes I'm going to take a look, and if they need a little bit more baking, I'm going to cover them with silver foil so they don't burn. The hot cross loaves have come out of the oven. Let's take a look. I've left them to cool for 5 minutes, and now it's time to turn them out onto a wire rack to cool completely. The final thing to do is get yourself some apricot jam, put it in the microwave for around 10 seconds with a splash of water so it gets nice and liquidy. I'm going to brush it over the top of the buns to give it that gorgeous shine that everybody knows and loves. That smells so good. I'm popping this in the toaster right now, and I put butter on it and have it with a lovely cup of tea all by myself before anyone else gets home. If you enjoyed that tutorial, please click the subscribe button below. Until next time, bye.